What's up? What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Happy Friday. Happy to be here. Hold on. Happy to be here. What y'all up to? Damn. How y'all doing? Let me see where else I can add to this. I'm coming in just to talk about money moves. If y'all have questions or things like that, I'm going to be going live a little bit more. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe while you are there. If you're watching this on a replay, type replay in the chat. I have had a very busy day, I started off my day with an interview. I got my first interview TV segment. But I want to come on here and go live more to answer your questions and talk about different things related to money and money moves. Just being honest, I feel like it's a lot going on. So drop your questions in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I guess I should go live on Instagram also. How y'all doing? I see some people here already. Where are you checking in from? Let me see where you at first. Okay, so you're on my business page. You're on Facebook. So where are you tuning in from, Facebook? Where are you at? Trying to do the thing so I could go live really quickly. Live. Turn around. Oh, I need that to go down. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about a few things today. We're gonna talk about how making $100,000 don't mean that you got money, don't mean that you are doing great, and you really need to work on doing your money. And I'm gonna show you a couple of clips from the news. We're gonna talk about a few things today. Get into it. Like I say, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, follow, and subscribe. Whatever platform you are watching this on, can I get a like about you? Yes, I'm coming in the door asking for favors. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Straight in the door asking for a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're watching this. Yes. So, of course, you got questions. Drop your questions in the chat. But I'm going to be going live more often so that I can be here to answer your questions. I know a lot of people come to me sometimes in my inbox, and I don't always have time to answer questions there. So I figure if I start doing this and going live, I will be going live again on Monday. On Monday, I'm going to go live again, and then we'll talk about different topics. And you can drop some topics that you want to hear down in the chat. So then when I do go live, I'll be sure to make sure I'm covering those topics each time I come in. This month is National Homebuyer Month. So today we're going to talk about home ownership, and everybody knows what's going on with the market. If you're in the Money Mastery Academy, you know that we will be having a mortgage broker here this month and a realtor. So it's a lot of things going on, but I really feel like it's important that you should prepare for home ownership before you purchase a home. So we could talk about that. We could talk about my financial faux pas, like what I wish I would have known when I first bought my first house. I wish, man, it's so much stuff that I just didn't know, and then I might get some guests in here. Let me see. I might pull some guests in here and see what they talking about. But what is up with y'all? Happy Friday. Definitely type in the chat where you are coming from, where you checking in from. I'm in Chicago. For those who don't already know, that's where I am. Hold on. But yeah, so other than that, we can talk about home ownership. We can talk about just money moves as a whole. Wherever you're watching this from, like and subscribe. I see we got a few people on here today. Let me know where you calling, where you from. I'm trying to see. Oh, let me bring them comments back. Well, I guess I'll show you what I want to show you all. Oh, hey. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, friend. How is it there? I want to get back there so bad. Oh, I want to get back there so bad. But right now I think I got too much in the pipeline right now that is just I don't see it happening this year. Maybe it might happen next year. Maybe. But it's not looking good today. It's not looking good. It's not looking good right now, but I want to get back there. How is the weather there, man? So yeah, we could for you all who don't know, June is National Homebuyer Month. So we could talk about, somebody gave me a good suggestion the other day and told me to see if I can bring a underwriter. So an underwriter can talk to you about like how the underwriting process goes and how they determine and go through your paperwork to see about purchasing a house for you. I mean, to see about helping you purchase the home and get you approved for the home. But what I wanted to do, I wanted us to watch, let me see. I'm going to show a video and then we can kind of discuss the video and talk about it, because I think a lot of people think that when you make $100,000 a year, that means that automatically you made it and that's it, that it's nothing else. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. Share screen. So there we go. So we're going to watch this.
Banks are bracing for an influx of defaulting payments as higher prices across the board force Americans to use credit cards. It comes as over half of Americans earning a six-figure salary report that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck. So to help us break down all of this is Megan Lenhart. She's a senior reporter for Fortune magazine. Thanks for joining us. You know, a lot of people are going to hear you make $100,000 a year and you're living paycheck to paycheck. That seems like crazy talk, but it's actually happening. But we're going to get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about what we're seeing the banks doing. The banks are bracing for putting money aside for people essentially defaulting on loans. What happens if a large number of people start to default on their payments, whether it's credit cards or their car payments or whatever it is?
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me this morning. I think that this is an important topic that we need to talk about over and over again in the coming year. Certainly last year and throughout the early days of the pandemic, since the onset of the lockdowns, we've seen that credit card delinquencies have been historically low. Mm-hmm. So now we're starting to see a ramp up period, given the inflation, given the economic environment that we've been in. We're going to start seeing, more people sitting there and saying, I can't pay my credit card at the end of the month. And of course, now I want to stress that, again, we've been in a historically low environment.
So I'm going to stop right there and let's talk about that part right there. For one, we don't know what Uncle Joe is going to do when it comes to these student loans. So that means that our student loan payments might be coming back. Now it says 60 days after June 30th is when they might be coming back. So if you have student loans that need to be paid, you can expect around, I'm going to say maybe beginning of September-ish for those payments to then be coming back. Well, the problem with that is we haven't paid them since March of 2020. So you got all of these credit card bills to pay. Now you got these student loans about to come back. At the end of the day, if you don't want to get hit upside the head, you want to start creating some type of budget to figure out like, okay, like what's going on, what type of money I have, what type of, what are my bills going to look like if these student loans come back? Because like she said, most of us have a lot of debt. It took me years to pay off the amount of debt that I had. And that was with me slowing down everything that I was doing. So if you got all these credit card debts and the student loans are coming back, so now the question is, what are you going to do to prepare for those student loans to come back? You're going to need to create a budget. You're going to need some type of budget to actually identify exactly what's coming in, what's going out, and what you going to do about it? Are you going to be able to handle if the student loans come back and you have all these credit card payments and you have all these debt payments, and now you have all of these things at the same time? So you want to start to get some type of idea about your finances, because for one, you want to think about it this way. All that money that's going to those credit cards, that's money that's not going towards your investments. It's not going towards your savings. It's not going towards you getting your bills paid. All of those things, when you consistently pay more and more in debt, it takes away from your financial goals. So looking at the story, a lot of people, people think it's crazy that somebody makes $100,000 and they still living paycheck to paycheck. It's people who make $100,000 and they not even living paycheck to paycheck. They wish they could have enough money, even remotely close to their paycheck. So we just got to prepare and start looking at what we have coming up. So that's what we got to work on. We got to get it together. We got to get it together, y'all. Because honestly, are you ready? Like, anybody in the chat that got student loans, are you ready that if you have to pay your student loans back or not? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, I had to get some. Are you ready? If you have to pay student loans, are you ready to introduce them back into your bills in the chance that they don't get forgiven with everything else that you already have going on, given that you haven't paid any student loans in a while, in a long while? Like, I know I haven't paid any. So I'm going to have to readjust my whole money situation, because I have to add this now back into my paycheck, into my budget rather. I ain't saying, I'm just saying. But yeah, let me see. I am going to go. Okay, so that's one thing you want to think about. So if you're somebody who you feel like, okay, in the next year or two, I want to purchase a house, that's going to be pretty important for you, because whoever you are purchasing, whatever lender you are purchasing that loan from, they're going to want to look at how much debt you owe. So student loans, all of those things are going to play a factor. The interest rates right now are very high, which that's going to cause your monthly payment to be much higher. So you have to look at things way different than you looked at them before. You can't look at them, this is not the situation that we were in before. So what I want to acknowledge, advise, let's talk about it. Tell me what questions you have. Tell me if you're somebody looking to buy a home, or if you're somebody that maybe you just have a lot of debt that you want to get rid of and pay off. Either or, just let me know and we could talk about it. I'm here to answer questions. I'm going to be on here probably about another 30 minutes. So come on, drop your questions. Let them know. Let me know. Drop them in the chat. But if not, let's talk about it. So let's talk about the home buying process. Okay, so let me share my screen. So like I said, this month is National Home Buyer Month. So we're going to stop that. We're going to share another tab. Share screen. Bam. Okay, the steps to buying a home. So look at this. First thing you're going to do, make sure you're ready. Make sure you're ready mean, are you paying your current bills on time? If you're not paying your current bills on time, it's going to be hard to start paying them on time when it comes to you getting your finances in order. Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. So you want to start to consider to decide if you are in fact even ready to purchase a home, because at the end of the day, you got to make sure you can handle the bills you have now, or see what you need to eliminate, what you need to get rid of, all of those things before you can jump to that. I want to get rid of this. Bam. Okay. Now let me share my screen. Okay, bam. So this is on my website. If anybody wants to fully read this article, I can drop the link in the chat. Just let me know, because this is one of my blog posts. I figured, why not go to my own blog post? Duh. Where are we at? Right here. Okay, so buying a house is a major decision. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to commitment. So I drop things. One of the first things I always suggest people do is research. Start looking to see exactly how much homes are going to cost in your area. Look and see what the average interest rates are. Set up alerts on realtor.com or Trulia so that you can be able to identify what it's really going to cost for you. And then you want to look at how you pay your current bills. If you can't be able to comfortably pay your bills, or you're late and you're having to skip bills and things like that, you might not financially be able to do that. A lot of things you got to understand too before you really actively start looking for a home. You got to get pre-qualified or pre-approved, which basically that's the process of you talking to a mortgage broker or a lender, and basically they review your credit, they review your work history, they review your taxes and your financials to basically see the possibility of you being able to purchase a home. So that's one of the reasons why you want to go to them. Some realtors won't even show you a house unless you get pre-qualified or pre-approved from a lender. They want you to get that first, because think about it. If I'm outside and we go to see a place and we go to see a house, and then we go see this house that costs $500,000, but your loan officer told you that you only qualify for $200,000, then we wasting time by looking at this $5,000 house, because nobody's going to give you the money to pay for it. So that's one of the things that you definitely want to look into before you go buy a house. And again, ask me any questions that you have while I'm talking about this. I feel like that's one of the things. I understand that interest rates are high right now. The problem is when interest rates drop, home prices are going to go up. So you have to decide which, time is more advantageous for you, and you have to see which time that you're able to financially afford it. I'm not a realtor. I'm not a loan officer. I am a financial education instructor. So I'm not here to sell you a house. I'm here to talk to people who want to buy a house, who are interested in becoming a homeowner, but they don't quite know. And because this is National Home Buyer Month, I figured today was a good time to talk about it. Homeownership is one of the great ways to build wealth. And I know that prices are high and we look at them and we say, oh, these are expensive, but buying a home is one of the ways to stabilize your monthly payments. It doesn't 100% stabilize them, because of course taxes go up and change. But once you get a mortgage, that is your mortgage. Your mortgage price will not change for the full time of the loan. We all know if you currently rent, these rents are getting out of hand. They're increasing rents by $100, $200, things like that constantly. So you want to think about these things. Next, you're going to go to determining how much you can afford. How much home can you afford? This is important because when you go through this process and you get a lender to pre-approve you, they're basically going to tell you how much you qualify for. But when they do that, they're not going to look at important things that that you have, because they don't know. They have things that you have. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do something right now. Bam, there we go. So you have things that you have that they don't. So for example, when they give you that, it's going to be based on your bills that you currently have and whatever's reporting to your credit. But that's not going to be considering that if you have extracurricular activities you do. It's not going to consider if you travel. It's not going to consider anything like that. So you don't want to purchase a home and now you can't live anymore. Now you can't go do any of the things you want to do anymore. So honestly, I think that you want to consider that. Now, the next thing you want to do, well, not the next thing, these are not in any exact order, but you want to look for a real estate agent. So look for a real estate agent. I personally say you should look into what type of property you want to buy. Are you looking to buy an investment property, which basically means that you're buying the property so that it can create another stream of income for you? Or if you're buying the property to live in the property. If you're buying an investment property, I recommend you using a realtor that's used to working with investors. I highly recommend it if you're looking to build wealth and you're looking to escape the struggle of your job being your only source of income and your job being the only place that you have to be able to pay your bills and live your life. I recommend it. You can house hack, which basically house hacking just means that say you buy a property, maybe it's a 3 flat or a 2 flat. You live in one unit and then you have tenants in the other units. The purpose of that is it's going to reduce the actual cost that you have to pay for the property. Hey, Tiff, how you doing? So it's going to reduce the amount that you have to pay for it. So when you're looking for a real estate agent, you want to make sure you're looking for somebody who is able to work with you based on what your goal is with the property. Again, you got questions, definitely drop whatever questions that you have. So now, once you get your pre-approval letter, you out shopping with the realtor, now you start to go shopping for houses. These are just a few tips that I like to give when you're at the part where you're shopping for homes. Tiff, I know you just got here. We're talking about buying a home because this is National Home Buyer Month. So just going through some helpful tips to help people. Maybe I should make this bigger so you can kind of see it better. But just talking about helpful tips to help people purchase homes. So if you're at the point now you're shopping for homes and things like that, you want to do a few things while you're shopping. I always tell people to test the plumbing, run the shower, run the water in the tub, run the sink in the bathroom, in the kitchen. Test your water pressure. See how strong the water is. See how hot the water gets, and see if you can run them both at the same time. I know this sounds small, but trust me, that's a helpful tip because you don't want to move in and then find out you can't even take a bath because your water pressure was horrible. Then you want to test the electrical system. I know you can't get technical. You're not an electrician. Turn the light switches on and off. Make sure the lights work. I literally visited a property maybe about a month ago, and one whole side of the property had no electricity, and the owners had no clue that it didn't have electricity until I tried to turn on a light switch. So it's a house, things happen. So these are just things that you can do. You're going to get an inspection and have an inspector, which we see as the next step. But you just want to test these things because maybe you can decide in the beginning before you even get to that step, this is not the house for me. So I don't even want to go to the next step. Open and close your windows. Make sure that your windows can open and close. Sometimes a window might be shut or they might have painted it shut. Open the doors, make sure they work properly. These are the type of things you want to look at. Look at the neighborhood also. If you have children, you want to consider, do I need to have a good schools? What type of schools are here? How will my child get to school? If the school is close and your child has to walk to school, is this a safe neighborhood for the child to walk? Is there a lot of traffic on the street? What's the parking situation? How would you get to work from the location of that house? Is it going to be very difficult for you to make it to work? All of these things sound very small, but they are things that you do not really look at when you first move in the house. Oh, there we go. There go another one. Stomp up the tub and fill it with water too. I had a nightmare dealing with that after I closed. Yeah, see, these things sound very small, but they're very important, and you will realize how important they are when you get in the property, and you'll be like, man, like I didn't even think about this. So that's why I try to give, some tips to help you. Next, get a home inspection. A lot of first-time home buyers skip them. Hey, Renee, hey, how you doing? A lot of first-time home buyers, they'll skip the home inspection. I don't recommend it. 0 stars. I do not recommend it at all. Simply because the home inspector is going to go through your house. If you have a crawl space, they're going to look in your crawl space. If you have a roof, they're going to look at the roof. They're going to look all through your house in order for you to get an idea of what needs to be done. So when that home inspector is done inspecting your house, he's going to give you a report of inspection. That report of inspection is almost like a to-do list. It's almost like these are the things that need to be done in this house, and it gives you a good idea of what you're walking into. Are they going to find exactly every single thing? No, but you want to get an experienced inspector, and you want to think about these things. Next, you also want to work with a mortgage banker to choose what type of loan. One of the things I see people do all the time is they just go with the lender because their cousin used that lender. Or I know this person and this person marketed to me, so I'm going to go with them. But you have options, and you do not have any type of requirement that you have to go with any person. You actually should be shopping around for your lender and not just going with the first lender that you see. And here's why that's important. So do you know what a fixed rate or an adjustable rate mortgage is? So a fixed rate mortgage just basically means that your rate is fixed. It stays the same throughout the term of the loan. An adjustable rate mortgage means it does exactly what it says. It adjusts, and it adjusts with the market. So that means at any given point, like we see how interest rates are really high now, if you had an adjustable rate mortgage, your mortgage would shoot up because interest rates are so high. So you want to think about all of those things and get educated on what they are. So when you're talking to a mortgage broker, you're more so asking them questions about what type of products do they provide? What are the payment schedules like? Do they have FHA loans? I don't want to get into describing all the different type of loans today, but just let you know there are multiple types of different loans. Then you have down payment assistance programs. What are the requirements that they have? Does this lender require you to have a 640 credit score, a 620 credit score? Because we hear about FHA all the time, and we hear about, oh, well, you can get an FHA loan with a 580. But that's important to know that FHA is not a lender. They are not out here giving out any coins. FHA is a federal subsidized program. The banks are still the ones giving out the money, which means the banks are the ones who still make the rules. So you want to ask that mortgage broker, loan officer, whoever you are working with, what are their requirements? What is their required in order for them to give a loan? So they'll tell you, and they might have additional things that you have to require, different things you are required to do based on the fact of that is the terms that they set to lend money. Those things are called overlays. An overlay is an additional requirement they have other than what FHA or Fannie Mae, what they all set. So you want to ask those questions and find out. Now, the bank's going to have the home appraised, which basically means that they're going to look at and see like, okay, this home is worth this much. This is important. It's important because even though the bank is going to order this home appraisal, you are going to be fitting the bill for this home appraisal. It's going to be listed as a part of your closing costs, and it's going to be a cost that you will have to do. So with that being said, you want to make sure you get the report of that appraisal because you pay for it and it belongs to you. That's first and foremost right there. The next thing to be important about it is the appraisal. If it says that your house is worth $400,000, but you just put in an offer for $440,000, and let's just say your down payment, and we're going to say it's only $10,000. That $30,000 gap, the bank is not going to pay it. The bank is not going to loan you more money than that property is worth. So you're going to have two options. You're either going to be able to go to the seller and ask them to reduce the price down to the appraisal amount, or, you'll have three options. You can go to the seller, ask them to reduce the price down to the appraisal amount. You can fill in the gap yourself with your own money, and you bring in an additional money to fill in whatever gap that was created, or you can walk away because when you fill out your offer, it was based upon you being able to get a loan for the property. If your bank is saying, no, we're not paying you more money than this house appraised, then you no longer are able to get a loan. And thus you have a legal way to get out of that offer and get your earnest money back. Earnest money is typically dependent on the market. It might be $1,000, $1,500. It's dependent on your market, and it's based on you putting the offer in, and it's like a good faith amount. It's saying like, here, I'm going to put an offer on this property and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. It's kind of what it's doing. Your earnest money does count towards the money you have to bring to the closing table, though. It's not a gift that you're giving the seller. It comes out of your down payment, just so you know. When you get your closing documents, it will tell you you paid this much in earnest money and deduct it from the total. So don't think that they just taking money from you. Now, underwriting. Underwriting is probably the most annoying part of the entire home buying process. Let's just say that. Underwriting is when the people who work at the bank basically go through they go through your credit. That's when they check in to make sure you really work where you said you was going to work. That's when they're going through your bank account and saying, okay, she said she got paid here. Let me go and find that paycheck actually entering her account. And let me see if it enters at the right frequency. Where is that rent? Let me see if she paid her rent on time. They're double checking everything, and they will get very, very specific. They will get to looking at if your name was spelled correctly. They want to look at everything. So it's really important for you to be cooperative. You want to make sure that they get your bank statements and paycheck stubs every 30 days. They're going to ask for them, but you're more than welcome to be proactive and make sure that you're sending them in. You want to respond to their questions, or if they're asking for additional documents, you want to respond to them as quickly as possible, because the quicker you respond to them while they're still working on your file before they move to, because they're working on multiple files at the same time. So you want to get them that paperwork as soon as possible. Whatever they asking for, get it to them. Other than that, then they'll review all of your things. If everything looks good, you might get a conditional close if they have additional documents. And it might be something that they just loose in, they wanted to clear up. It might be they need new paychecks. It might be that they didn't receive paperwork from your retirement plan. It might just be something simple that was in your application. This is also why it's important to make sure you told the truth on your application, because they're going to check. And then all of these people who tell you to, oh, well, you can just delete this. I'm going to come on screen for this. All of the people who tell you, oh, well, you can just delete this off your credit. It's important to know that underwriters have other databases and other tools, tricks, whatever you want to call them, that they can still look up your information, even if it's not on your credit report. So if you got that judgment removed from your credit report, that's fine. Yes, your score is going to go up, but the underwriter is going to find out that you owe that judgment, because they're going to check everything, and they're going to double check the things that you said. They're going to check and see if you have student loans, if you have judgments against you. All of those things will be looked into. So you want to make sure that you're telling the truth on your application. And then just briefly, I have to talk about the things you don't do. So I have a book. It's called Life is Short, Buy the House. But it literally lists the 10 things that you don't want to do. So I'm going to go through them. I don't have the book like in my hand, but I'm doing what I have by memory. You don't want to finance anything. Don't go get a car. I know you need new furniture, but that new furniture can wait until after you get in your house. Do not, because that's going to cause your debt to increase, because now you owe money on this furniture you just financed. Now you owe money on this car that you just financed. So now this means that I have to recalculate everything, because I, as the bank, told you that I was going to give you money for this house based on what you owed before. Now you owe more. I got to see how that calculates and see if you're able to pay all of these people and still pay me. Because at the end of the day, that's the main goal of the bank. They just want to see, with your current debts and your current obligations, one, are you able to pay them? Two, are you able to are you able to handle those current obligations? They want to look at that. Do you pay them on time? Because if you don't pay them on time, you're not going to pay me on time. If you are at your top, like you are at the limit, all your credit cards are maxed out, you don't have any money, all your loans are new, it's a red flag. Like, it's giving red flags. I don't know if you all seen the TikTok 3 red flags. It's giving red flags, because if you are at the limit of all your credit cards and you just took out these loans, if I give you money as the bank for this house and something happens in your life, well, what's going to happen if something happens? You don't have any money to pay me. You can't use any money from your credit card because they're already maxed out. What are you going to do? What you gonna do? So this is the things that they're looking at. So this is the mind frame you want to have when you're preparing yourself for home ownership, if that's something that you want to do. So back to closing. Once you get the okay to close, they're going to send you these documents that'll tell you like all these numbers of what all this money means that you're giving up. They're going to tell you exactly how much money you need to bring to the closing table, whether you have to wire it or, I mean, I feel like now 2023 it's more wires than before. It used to be cashier's checks. But they're going to tell you exactly how much you need to bring. They're going to tell you what day is closing. You're going to do another walkthrough of the property because, believe it or not, everybody is not honest. So sometimes the owner, like, okay, let's just say, for example, you go to purchase a house. Once you got your inspection, they said some things were wrong. So you ask the owner to correct them. You ask them to repair it. The owner agrees, like, sure, yes, I'll fix that. No problem. Then 2 days before you close or a day before you close, depending on the market again, you go look at the property and they didn't do anything. Or even worse, I saw a video where the contractor and the owner got into it where maybe they didn't pay the contractor or whatever, and the contractor took all the doors. They took all the doors off the house. I was like, that talk about petty Pendergrass. Talk about petty Pendergrass. They took all the doors. So when they went to do the final walkthrough before they purchased the house, all the doors were gone. So that's why you got to do a walkthrough before you take that final possession and get your keys. And then you go and you sign a stack of documents. Sometimes it's probably like 200, I say 200 to 400 pages. It depends on how many pages your closing is. And it depends on what your specific situation is. Are you selling another house or different things? But you're going to sign, baby. You're going to sign. So do your risk exercises the day before because you will be signing your life away. And then that's when all transfers happen. And then you have the title company who handles, they're like the impartial party who comes in and organizes everything. They check and make sure everything's free and clear, that the home is actually owned by the person saying that they're selling it. These are why you want to get all of these people involved. I also highly recommend an attorney. Some states require attorney when you purchase a home. Some states don't. I think the attorney is one of the few people in the transaction whose sole goal is to protect your best interests. The realtor, yes, they're your realtor and you hired them, but they also get commission from your sale. The lender, yes, you hired them, but they also get commission from your sale. The attorney typically charges a flat fee, and that's how much they charge to do the transaction. And they're there to review the contracts, especially if you're buying a condo or anywhere that has a HOA. You should have an attorney because you want them to look and see, does the HOA pay their bills correctly? Does the HOA, like if the HOA is living paycheck to paycheck, I'm sorry, I'm going to say that's a red flag. But you wouldn't know that thing or you wouldn't look at that. So that's one of the things reasons you want to have an attorney present. Sometimes HOAs will give you a hassle and don't want to show their financials or don't want to show their books. They'll also read the bylaws. So you'll be able to know and understand everything that you're signing up for when you move into this property to say that you're going to do. Some condos have some interesting rules and regulations. So these are just things you want to do. So I tried to give like an overview of home ownership. Of course, there is so much more, but again, it's National Home Ownership Month. So this will not be the only time I talk about home ownership. Definitely drop your questions if you have questions. Oh, I guess I should put this up here. So this is important when you're going through a property. It's just amazing some of the things that I have found. When you walk through a property, don't go through it really quickly. Take your time. This is a big purchase. This is probably the biggest purchase you will make in your life. So make sure you're taking your time. Make sure that you are looking at it because this is a place that you will be spending a lot of your time. Now, on the flip side, if you're buying as an investor, then you need to either way, you need to get rid of emotions. But if you're buying as an investor, you don't want to think about it as a place that you'll live for 30 years. If it's not broke, it looks good, it's in great condition, why are we changing it? That's what you want to ask yourself more so as an investor, because sometimes you'll find yourself changing things to your liking and none of your tenants like that. So if it's working good, it's in great condition, And I mean good condition, because we don't want any slumlords. But that's the thing you want to think about. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Y'all can drop your questions if you got questions. I will be back live again on Monday at 6:00, I believe. At 6:00, I'll be live on Monday. I don't know what I'm talking about then. I'll let you know. I'll see. But if you are looking to purchase a house in the next year or two and you want to start preparing, I do have a free home buyer guide. It's completely free. Don't have to pay anything. And it comes with 5 videos, and it talks about 5 steps to prepare for home ownership. So one of them is going to be creating a budget so you can determine how much home you can afford. As I said, you want to include all those extra things. Like if you go on your annual trip with your sorors, you don't want to stop doing that because you buy a house, right? So that needs to be in your budget. You know that you have extracurricular activities. Yes, the mortgage broker or loan officer is going to give you a pre-approval letter to tell, oh, I never knew that about HOA when buying a home. Yes, look at that stuff. Look at that stuff. See if they financially sound, because they don't always be financially sound, because some people, just if they're not running their regular finances right, how they running the HOA right? Like I've heard some stories. So yes, definitely check that before you purchase. But yeah, so you want to create a budget to see what you can afford comfortably. Then you want to look into an emergency fund. Don't just save enough money for your down payment and closing costs. There are other costs associated with purchasing a home. You have home inspection, and you might have more than just that basic home inspection. Depending on the market that you are in, you might get a radon inspection, you might get a lead inspection, you might need a termite inspection. Like it just depends. So that's all cost. Like I said, the bank will order the appraisal, but you will have to pay for it. Then lo and behold, once you close, you still got to move in. And then you always need money for repairs and replacements, because you are no longer the tenant. You are now the landlord of yourself, or if you have tenants. So that means when something breaks, you don't have anybody to call. So you want to have something to prepare for that. If you have an expense that might happen as soon as you close, which I've experienced in my own investment property, I had to replace my water heater while I was preparing it for my first tenant. So that was an expense I wasn't expecting, but I had to have money for it, because I'm not going to sit here and buy a property and I can't even afford to buy the water heater so I can get a tenant in it to make some money. So then you want to work to pay off your debt. Now, paying off your debt is interesting because you want to pay your debt off based on the highest claim on your paycheck when it comes to preparing for home ownership. So when you're paying your credit off, you might pay it differently. But if you're paying it off with the exact purpose to purchase a home, look at what has the highest claim on your paycheck, and if you have the ability to pay it off before you purchase. The reason being because when they're looking at your debt to income ratio and the amount that you have to pay monthly to qualify you for a home, if you have something that you're paying $300, that's going to weigh heavier than something that you're only paying $100, because that's more money that has to come out of your paycheck, which means me as the lender, that's less money you're going to have to pay me. So that's why they calculate how much debt you have to pay so that you can basically live comfortably in the house and be able to pay them their money back, to be honest with you. The next thing you want to do is you want to do your research. Like I said, look into what type of loan products there are out there. Look into what type of down payment assistance programs. Some lenders have some awesome programs. So typically you have different types of loans, and some loans standard have required down payments or required credit scores or things like that. But they have a lot of nice home products that you can get a lower down payment and not have to get mortgage insurance. It just depends on the lender that you talk to. So shop around, talk to them, ask them questions. That's one of the things I put in the book. What questions should I ask a mortgage broker when I'm looking to use them? What questions should I ask a realtor or a home inspector? Because those are the things. And then you also want to consider what you're going to purchase. Do I want a condo, townhome, single family, multi-unit? I also compare all of those things, because don't just make a hasty decision. Decide what's going to help you achieve your financial goals. Okay. And then last but not least, you want to pick your home buying dream team. So I recommend not waiting until you go to purchase a home to start picking these people. We are in the social media area. Find them on social media, follow them, see if you mesh well with them. Your realtor is going to be your guidance counselor, your negotiator, your home shopper. They're going to be a big part of this process. So you want to make sure you put time and effort. We put time and energy in shopping in Amazon and looking at their reviews. We need to give these people that same energy, because this is a very important purchase and you're about to drop a lot of money. So you want to be careful, and you want somebody that's going to be okay with you asking them a lot of questions. If they're getting irritated with you asking them a lot of questions, they're probably not the one for you, because you need somebody who's going to be okay with the fact that you're not the realtor. So you don't know all the answers. You got to ask questions. They're the ones that this is their profession. This is not your profession. So they need to be okay with you asking a lot of questions, because that's what happens when somebody is not familiar. So that's all we're going to talk about today. If you have any more questions, let me know. And then I'm going to jump off of here. Thanks everybody for coming in and watching. I had like 20 people at one point. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But like I said, whatever channel you are watching this on, definitely make sure you like and subscribe. Definitely. Any questions? Any questions? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Renee. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to let it go. Okay. Just seeing who was on here. All right.